Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you what my morning routine is. I usually wake up around between 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning on any given day. Today I just happened to get up around 3 o'clock this morning. And I go to bed early. I'm an early bird, but I'm an early riser as well. And usually the first thing that I do is I just sit on my seat or my chair and I get a glass of water and I just sit there for about half an hour. And I just sit there in the darkness pretty much for about half an hour. I sip on my water. And then after about half an hour or so, I go ahead and I try to look for a video. I don't go to the news right away. I try to look for a video that's going to inspire me, that's going to make me feel good about humanity. That's how I like to start my day. That's why it's so nice that every once in a while, well actually quite often, when I look into my emails, sometimes the first email that I click on is a really good email. You know, someone saying, you know, thank you for what you do. I've been preparing for a year and now I feel really well that, you know, if something happens, that my family's going to be okay. You know, those are my favorites right there. Those stories of what I would interpret as success. Because if you are well prepared for you and your family, then you've achieved a level of success in knowing that you're going to be okay and your family's going to be okay in case something happens. And today I'm watching this video, the very first one that I clicked on, and it's by a person who's been doing this for a long time. And a lot of people disagree with this, which I don't understand. I do understand that it says that you're not supposed to show yourself giving, you know, to others, doing charity onto others, and you're not supposed to show their face or something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, what you have to understand is this, and at least this is how I see it. It's that we've gotten away from that. And I don't think that it is humanity's fault that we have gotten away from giving as humanity the way that we used to in the past. Because, of course, I'm going to blame it on government. How much taxes do you pay? Do you feel obligated to help someone that you see that needs help when you know that you pay so many taxes and that the government has so many, you know, programs that they're supposed to be using your tax dollars for to help those that are in need, even though that's not what government is supposed to do. But I digress. Right? I feel that we as humanity have gotten the giving spirit taken away from us because many of us are just struggling, you know, just to keep your heads above water. Right? So I agree with videos like this where it shows people giving to others, and some people may say, well, they're just making money, but so what? They're helping other people. This gentleman here, and I'm going to show you a part of this video, which is what I think part of this title is going to be for this video. This gentleman, all he does on his videos is help others. And some people may say, well, he's making money off of that. So what? He's still helping people. He's using a platform to his advantage where people don't have to pay anything to watch him. They just donate a little bit of their time. And then he takes that revenue and he goes out into the streets and he helps people. And this particular video today, in all honesty, it really made me tear up. Because, well, I'm just going to show you a very short clip of it, you know, maybe less than a minute. And then I'm going to leave the link to this video on a pinned comment. And I hope that you go over there and subscribe and support this gentleman because he's been doing this for a long time. And I don't know how many people he's helped. It's got to be in the tens of thousands by now. But watch this.
Was I called across? Okay. Later, we have one more month. Right? Me happy I'm done. I'll take the corner and just say that. All right, young man, eh? Such a knock, eh? If ungakusiza mina ufuna ngikusize naye. Ngomsebenzi. Ufuna ukwenza umsebenzi onjani? Okay. I-license yakhe ikhona? Renew. Malini your renew license?
I check online, that is 220.
220. Okay, yeah, we'll see what we can do. Count how much is this? Yeah. No, count how much is that? No, how much is that? No, yeah, don't worry. How much is that? 800. You're gonna make sure that you find help for yourself. Count how much is that? No, just take that money. It's gonna help you. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that video kind of made me choke up a little bit. Let me tell you why. Because that man, to me, looks like he's a good man, you know, trying to take care of his family. But that man was crying. But why was he crying? And I asked myself, I told myself, he's crying over pieces of paper. But I'm wrong. He's not crying. He wasn't crying on that video over pieces of paper. He was crying over what those pieces of paper represent to him and his life. And then I'm thinking, but where's all the money gone? You know, like, where has all the money gone? Now, obviously, this isn't a country in Africa, in the continent of Africa, and not here in the U.S., but I'm pretty sure that even in his country, that governments have manipulated, they have misappropriated, they have stolen the money of the people and turned it into paper. And now paper, to us, to people in general, represent what you can do with your life. Because if you have zero money, just like that gentleman did, if you go watch the video, he has a skill. He just needed money to upgrade his license. And the last couple of years, you know, through this health crisis stuff that's happened, a lot of people were kicked off work. They drained all of their resources, and they didn't even have money to be able to get back up on their feet to be able to work. That video inspired me to do a little bit of research. And that research is, where has all the money gone? You see, in the last 2 or 3 years or so, most of the wealth that was generated in the entire world was transferred to a very few. I think it's like 75% of all of the wealth that was generated in the last 2 or 3 years was transferred to 1% or less than 1% of the world. Well, where has that money gone? Why has this happened? And I just want to show you what's happened here in the United States alone. I did a little bit of research. Now, please bear with me. I'm going to get to a point really quick. I want you to see, every time that you see someone who's broke, every time that you see someone who needs food, every time that you see someone who's homeless, and instead of providing these people with the help that they need, some states decide to just dole out free needles and free drug kits. So I ask, where has all of this money gone? And I want to show you exactly how much money I'm talking about. I want to show you how much money just the United States government since 1929, because that was the year that I could find the best data, was from 1929 to 2021. I want to show you how much money the government has fleeced from the people. So then what I did was I went ahead and took a look at all of the taxes that's been collected by government on the American people since 1929 all the way to 2021. And I had to use a few different pages because not all of them were complete. But this one right here, you can see that this one here, this is total taxes collected. Let me show you from what date. All the way to 2018, all the way from 1934. So I had to go and look at a couple of different pages to fill in the gaps, all the way from 1929. I could have started from 1913, but I did 1929 because that seemed like a good number. Okay, so I got it from a few different sources. Here's the last one that I used, revenue. Tax revenue. This one goes all the way up to 1962, right? From 1962 all the way to 2021. And then what I did is I went ahead and put it on a spreadsheet. I actually typed all of this in by hand, year by year. And as you can see here, 1929 deficit, debt increase, taxes paid, all the way down to 2021. So in deficits, in that time frame, we had $21 trillion in deficits. The debt increased by 28 trillion. Right? So we want to take a look at the debt, 28 trillion. Right now we know that it's a little bit over 31. But the total taxes collected, okay, the total taxes collected, as you can see here, is 85.5 trillion. But that's not it, ladies and gentlemen, because all of the taxes that were collected in the years prior, they have to be adjusted to inflation. So let me show you this right here. This right here are the taxes from 1929 starting, going down, adjusted for inflation. Meaning, what would it cost today to pay those same taxes in your labor? See, that's what inflation does. It takes away your labor, right? So whereas in 1929, it shows that only $1 billion in taxes were paid. Today, when you adjust that $1 billion for inflation, it's 16 billion, not 1 billion. And then et cetera, all the way down to 2021, where we collected a little over 4 trillion in taxes. When you adjust that to inflation, we are at $148 trillion, not counting our total debt, which is 31 trillion. So $148 trillion plus 31 trillion is roughly $180 trillion. $180 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. Where has all that money gone? Ask yourselves that every time that you see someone who's hungry, who doesn't have enough food. All of this money has been pilfered from the American people. Ask yourselves how much better off we are today than we were 50 years ago, just 50 years ago, with all of the money that they've collected. Let's see, how much have they collected in the last 50 years, ever since 1971. Let's take it from here, and let's bring it down here. They've collected $123 trillion in taxes, inflation adjusted, in the last 50 years, ladies and gentlemen. So most of these taxes that have been collected have been in the last 50 years. And most of our national debt has accrued over the last 50 years. So in the last 50 years, our government has taxed us $125 trillion in addition to accruing an additional 28 or $30 trillion. Because in 1971, the national debt was less than $1 billion. It was less than $1 trillion, so let's say $30 trillion. So in the last 50 years, our government has taxed us and put us into debt for a total of about $155 trillion. And that doesn't count all of the promises that they've made that they don't have money to pay for, that they rely on your taxes, our taxes for the rest of our lives so that they can pay for those debts, i.e. Social Security, which of course is a benefit, because people pay into it. That's what makes it a benefit. People pay into it whether they like it or not. They're pretty much forced to pay into Social Security. But the government already took that money. They've already taken that money and they've spent it elsewhere. So when they talk about increasing the national debt, you better guarantee that they're going to increase your taxes. And now that you know that in the last 50 years alone, they've taxed us $125 or so trillion in addition to adding $30 trillion to our debt, do you think that that is the best course for we the people to allow our government to take into the future? This eventually will stop. Because like I've said, the government will eventually run out of people's money. How much more of the people's money can they take without the people finally standing up and doing like what Bear Independent says, Bear over at Bear Independent, using their no muscle and saying no, no more. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why they're trying so feverishly to get us into a digital currency. Because with a digital currency, you will have no voice whatsoever. I hope you got something out of this. Like I said, when I do these videos, it's because I'm inspired to do them for one reason or another, and I decide to share them with you. So I hope that you got something out of this, and I hope that at the very minimum, that if you're new here, that you at least got a little bit woken up to the fact that they will never stop stealing from you your life. And one day it will be our children that are on the side of the street, like that poor man was, crying over paper. God bless America. God bless you all. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.